Howdy, welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you're a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuing support. We are past the halfway point. Let's talk about round number 14 of the 2025 season. Round 14 starts on Thursday night football from Newcastle. The Knights host the Seagulls. Manly are $1.44. Newcastle, they are $2.82. I would have thought that after the past few weeks, I would have thought that maybe they would have been sitting in the $3 range, but alas, they are $2.82. Going into the team list news for the Newcastle Knights, Kalen Ponga returns to the Newcastle Knights after being rested last weekend against the St George Illawarra Dragons. Tyson Gamble is out with a thumb injury, and their forward pack takes another massive blow. We got Brodie Jones, who was coming in to start in jersey number 10. Leo Thompson is out due to suspension and will be for the next 4 to 5 weeks. The back row is Dylan Lucas, Kaipis Paul and Matt Croker. The interchange is Jaden Brayley, Kant, McEwen, and I believe this young man is a debutant, and let me give it a crack. I apologise if I do this incorrectly. Elijah Salesa Leo Moana makes his debut in jersey number 17 for the Manly Seagulls now. Their 1-7 is unchanged after their impressive victory against the Brisbane Broncos last weekend. Hopewadi remains at fullback. He was absolutely outstanding last weekend. For the forward pack for the Manly Seagulls, Bullymore and Sipley start in the front row. Croker with jersey 9 on his back, and the interchange is Simkin Tavanga starts on the interchange this weekend. Corey Waddell, Nathan Brown, and Jake Dubojevic also returns this weekend in jersey number 13 with Olakawatu and his brother Ben on either side of him. Manly, they got the job done against the Brisbane Broncos, and they're just a team that have come in waves, and I'm going to talk about a couple of other teams that have had those sort of win-losses, and Manly's probably the most prolific of them all. Win-loss. They always go, but there is a sniff for some reason. I don't know why, because the Newcastle Knights haven't shown a hell of a lot, but there is a sniff about this game that Newcastle might make this really hard for Manly, but I can't tip the Newcastle Knights, so I'm going to go the Manly Seagulls to win this game. They even might have the attack for it. Like if Jason Saab was back and he's not, Falalo remains on the sting, I probably would say 13 plus, but I think I'll just go 1-12 because the Newcastle Knights defense is nothing to really sneeze at. Friday night football, there are 2 matches, and game number 1 emanates from Amy Park. Melbourne Storm host the North Queensland Cowboys. On Sportsbet, we've got the Melbourne Storm, who are favourites at $1.21. The North Queensland Cowboys, they are $4.45, and this must be the first trip down to Melbourne's Amy Park since the year 2019. I believe that's where they lost like a final round home and away regular season game there. I don't think the Cowboys have actually won at the venue since the 2015 preliminary final. That's off the top of the dome. I'm pretty certain about that stat. So it's a happy time whenever we go down to Amy Park, and it's our first trip down to Melbourne in approximately 5 or 6 seasons now. For the team list news now, Harry Grant returns. Of course he does. Returns at hooker for the Melbourne Storm, and their X-Man Xavier Coates also returns this weekend. Grant Anderson stays on the wing. Nick Meaney is in the centre alongside Jack Howarth, and their halves remain the same. The forward pack for the Melbourne Storm is pretty much unchanged except for Harry Grant's inclusion, and the interchanges Wishart Garlic, Kamikamitha and Nelson Asafa Solomona. So it's the likes of Fa'alongo and Chan that drop out for the Storm. For the North Queensland Cowboys, they are almost 1-17. I think they are the same 1-17. However, there are a couple of injury concerns. Reece Robson is complaining of hamstring tightness. Complain is a strong word after the work that dude has put in over the past couple of months. But there is hamstring tightness for Reece Robson, and allegedly he has been given until the captain's run to prove himself worthy to be picked for this Friday. We've also got Sam McIntyre, who's been named, but he only played approximately 20 to 25 minutes this past weekend against the West Tigers. And he's also a concern due to a calf complaint. The likes of Murray Taulagi and Jason Taumalolo are a week away, so they're not playing in this game. They're not going to be any sneaky chance. But if it is Reece Robson who does fail or just is simply rested for the Cowboys this weekend, I would imagine that Harrison Edwards would start at hooker, and that would maybe bring in a Carl Lawton that starts at jersey 14. And if it's Sam McIntyre too, that also misses out alongside the other couple of injuries that we've got at the moment, I would suggest that you'd probably have Thomas McKaylee, who comes onto the interchange bench, and then you might, or maybe you decide, Hess could start, or Neem or McKaylee could start alongside Jordan McLean, who I thought was fantastic throughout it last weekend. The Cowboys, they simply need to show some of the sterner stuff that they showed way back in round number 5, where they caused a boil over against the Penrith Panthers at CommBank Stadium, because their defense over the past 4 or 5 weeks has definitely reverted back to the formula that was in the first 2 weeks of the competition. I think they have leaked 5 or 6 tries on average for the past 4 or 5 weeks now. So defense needs to be at a premium, because the Storm, while they didn't lose this past weekend, they definitely felt like they played beneath themselves. And every time that happens, you know that they're going to be up for it. This is their first game in about a fortnight, I think. I might be wrong on that, but they're back at home. But North Queensland Cowboys, they've proven to be thorns in the sides of tipsters this year, and I think they're going to give this a fantastic crack. Of course, I believe in them, like Tom did in Jackson Purdue. They can throw some shape at the Melbourne Storm's edge defense, but it is the likes of Leiba and Vilea that really need to step up in this game. At the moment, Scott Drinkwater and the rest of the spine can only do what they can do, but we definitely need the centres to be on their game, taking hit-ups and showing their real attacking tenacity and attributes this Friday night. So North Queensland Cowboys, they're going to go down to Melbourne this Friday night and get their first win down at the venue since the 2015 preliminary final. The second game on Friday night is the Dolphins versus the Dragons from Suncorp Stadium. The Dolphins are $1.53 favourites. The Dragons are $2.52, and immediately that is pretty nice value on the St. George Illawarra Dragons, I must say. I really don't know who I'm going to tip in this game, to be honest with you, right here and now, but let's have a look at the team list. So Hammer returns for the Dolphins, Azarko, Bostock, Avarillo, Farnworth, Nikorima, and Katoa. That is the back line. The forward pack is Molo, Donahue, Kolfusi, Finafuiaki, Oren Keeley, and Ray Stone. And the interchange is Graham, Lemuelu, Mark Nichols, and Josh Kerr. Jeremy Marshall-King and Max Plath have been named on the reserves. So the reason why I went through the entire Dolphins team list there is that it just doesn't feel like, besides maybe 1 week, maybe 2, that they just have not been a settled outfit throughout the entire season. However, they do have Jerry Marshall-King and Max Plath named on the reserve, so there could be an outside chance of coming in. For the Dragons, it looks like that their 1-7 is unchanged. Toby Couchman starts in the second row for their forward pack, and the interchange is Little, Pacifica Tonga, Lowry, and Raymond Fatala-Mariner is also named. Actually, it's Tyrell Sloan, actually, now that I see that. Tyrell Sloan has been dropped. Wow, it's Christian Tuipulotu who comes in and fills in on that edge. Oh, wow, that is a massive call, considering Nathan Lawson, who only made his debut last weekend, is the other person on the sting. That is a very interesting dropping. I did not know that till just then. I only just saw that. Holy smokes. I'll just look at the rest of the reserves now just quickly. And besides Lachlan Ilias, Emery Gula, Hame Sele, I don't think either of them will fight back in, but Tyrell Sloan been dropped. God damn. So I think the home team has won this fixture even though they've only played each other 3 times since the Dolphins' inception. I'm pretty sure the home team has won on every occasion. However, the Dragons did go to Suncorp a couple of weeks ago and get the upset victory against the Broncos. So they are coming back to Suncorp for the 3rd time in the space of, gee whiz, maybe 6 weeks, maybe even less than that. So they are probably coming up to Suncorp with a fair bit of confidence in their form. But like another couple of other teams, the Dolphins have been a team where I just haven't been able to quite wrangle in yet. I think Hammer, after what I think was a disappointing effort by him, I think he is going to have a pretty special night. I do think that the Dolphins are going to win this game. I think I'm going to go 1-12 in this contest. I think it could be a really close, entertaining game. It's a matchup between pretty much effectively 8th versus 9th, effectively. I'm pretty sure it actually is. But yeah, I'm going to go the Dolphins in this game, 1-12. Super Saturday, there are 2 matches, and match number 1 is, in my opinion, the game of the round, especially when you look at the ladder. It's the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks versus the New Zealand Warriors. Sharkies, they are $1.49. The Warriors, they are $2.63. The Cronulla Sharks, they are coming off of their bye, their first bye of 2025, and this is how they line up. Marine Hiroti has been named on one edge due to, I believe, Mulatalo being suspended, and Sione Katoa makes his first appearance in first grade for 2025 out there on the Sting. Ramian and Iro are the centres. The halves remain the same, and the forward pack remains the same as well for the Sharks. The interchange reads Atkinson, Colquhoun, Talakai, and Braden Hamlin, ULA. Going into the New Zealand Warriors team lineup now, and Pompey and Capewell, they are the centres, and the rest of the back line speaks for itself. The interchange is Fisher-Harris, Egan, and Ford. Halasima, Niakure, and Clark. The interchange for them reads Martin, Laban, Vaimalga, and Stowers, Smith, and Ali Leotawa, Tain Tawapiki, Tom Ale. They have been named on the reserves as well for the New Zealand Warriors. 2 years in a row now, the Warriors have gone to Shark Park and caused a boil over. They have caused the upset in some remarkable finishes in the history of rugby league, honestly, or at least in the history of the Warriors franchise, and even in the history of the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, even though they've been on the losing side on both of those times. Terry and Dan come to mind from the Rugby League Outlaws. Please go and subscribe to them. They come to mind as fans. Rue and Hammer as well. They come to mind as fans in this matchup. This is so critical for both of these teams' chances this season. The Warriors sitting in the top 4, the Sharkies 1 win, I believe, outside of the top 4. This is a massive game, and Aiden Fanua-Blake plays up against the New Zealand Warriors for the first time. Yeah, holy smokes, okay. This is the game of the round, in my opinion. I know that there's another game coming up where you could say that it is, but no, for me, this is the game of the round. These 2 teams have provided some absolute belters over the years, in particular the past 2. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt here to the Cronulla Sharks. The value is there for the New Zealand Warriors. The form is kind of there for the New Zealand Warriors. I would not be shocked at all if they made it 3 years in a row where they travelled to Cronulla and got the dub. But after what happened to the Sharks a couple of weeks ago, losing the way they did to East, I think they are going to come out with a bee in their bonnet, and I think they can get the job done. But it'll be 1-12. This New Zealand Warriors side is stout, but this Cronulla Sharks outfit, they need to get into the next gear because I've tipped them as my premiers, and they really need to get into the next gear. So Cronulla Sharks 1-12. The second game on Super Saturday is from Suncorp Stadium. The Broncos host the Gold Coast Titans. Brisbane are $1.32. The Titans are $3.41. The Titans at Suncorp against Brisbane. Holy shit, we potentially might be in for a 40 points to 32 sort of a scoreline. We might see the Gold Coast Titans win 24 points to 22. This game annually, for the better part of 6 years now, has just blown the roof off if Suncorp Stadium had a roof. But let's go into the team list news now, and Reece Walsh has been named at fullback. Massive, massive stuff. The wingers, Selwyn Cobbo and Jesse Arthurs, Staggs and Shibasaki, Mam and Adam Reynolds. The forward pack for the Brisbane Broncos is Jensen, Pakes and Haas. The back row is Piakura, Ricky and Pat Carrigan. Walters, Hetherington, Willison and Takura have been named on the interchange bench. So Pat Carrigan moves back to the lock slot. I like it. I genuinely do. I think you don't miss anything. Nothing is lost if he plays front row or in the lock position. I think you do lose a lot if he plays out on the second row. So, but we got used to Pat Carrigan playing lock a couple of years ago as well, so I like the move. But it's Kobe Hetherington that's jotted back down to the interchange bench. Meanwhile, for the Gold Coast Titans here, so they've named Jaden Campbell at fullback, Kieran Foran and Tom Weaver in the halves. We've also got Alan Fitzgibbon, who's been named on one of the stings there. So Jojo Fafita has been dropped, or he's been injured. But Jojo Fafita, after arguably his best performance of the season last week, is nowhere to be found there. That's unfortunate. And the forward pack speaks for itself. That is as per the program. And then the interchange for them is Haas, Jolliffe, Alec Wenke, and Howe. AJ Brimson has been named as 18th player because he got himself concussed. But I believe the Gold Coast Titans are trying to downgrade that. So watch this space. Maybe it will be Brimson and Foran in the halves after all come Saturday night, and it will be Weaver that drops out. The Gold Coast Titans, I'll give them credit. They definitely showed a lot more fight, a lot more sting. They really took it to the Melbourne Storm. Melbourne Storm played beneath themselves, sure, and that's probably why it got a little bit close, but also there was some absolutely horrific refereeing decisions involved in that contest. But speaking of horrific, Dor from All Out Club and myself, we did the Manly-Brisbane game last weekend, and it was evident from within the first 5 minutes, even though they got themselves on the board early-ish on in the first half, Brisbane Broncos mentally, you could tell they just were never in that game. Mentally, they were never in that game. Physically as well, it was super flat and it was a massive turn-off. But they're back at home. They're up against little brother, and they've got Reece Walsh back as well. I do like the change of Pat Carrigan reverting back to lock, and then Jensen and Haas being your starting front rowers as well. Piakura and Ricky have to show something. I know that defensively they can be stinging, they can be good, but they just got to do something more in attack for this Brisbane Broncos side, man. That's in my opinion anyway. Yeah. I'm thinking about all the times the Gold Coast Titans have gone to Suncorp recently and gotten the upset. I don't think it would be crazy to tip the Gold Coast Titans. I don't think it would be, but I'm going to go the Brisbane Broncos here. $3.41 about the Titans in this Brisbane, well, not the Brisbane Derby, but this M1 Derby. There's some value there, isn't there, about the Gold Coast Titans? There is. But I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to play it safe. Oh, it's not even safe. No, I'm going to go the Brisbane Broncos to win this game. I'm going to sort of hedge me bets on Reece Walsh. And just the fact that the heat is up to level 9. It's dial 9 at the moment for the Brisbane Broncos in the media, isn't it? They are getting panned left, right and centre at the moment. And I think they'll come out and have a big performance. So I'm going to go the Brisbane Broncos to win 1-12. Sunday, there are two contests, and match number 1 is from GIO Stadium. The Raiders host the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Canberra, they are $1.43. The South Sydney Rabbitohs, they are $2.83. I tipped against you, Raiders. I'm really sorry I doubted you. I'm so freaking sorry I doubted you, which is why if you come out and lose this weekend, I'll be freaking upset. But how can I freaking not love yous at the moment? They are, besides my Cowboys, the Raiders are the best team in the competition to watch at the moment. They may not be the best, even though they might have one more win than the Bulldogs technically, but they are the best team to watch in the competition at the moment, the Canberra Raiders. They are absolutely brilliant to watch. And in good news for them, Jamal Fogarty returns. He has been named at halfback alongside Ethan Strange. That's the only change in the 1-7. The forward pack, Josh Papali'i, plays a record-breaking game this Sunday in front of the home fans. He starts, and he will become the most capped Raider in that club's history. I believe that it's also Matt Timiko's 150th or 100th game. And I think it's also Big Red, Corey Horsburgh's 100 or 150th game. So there are milestones aplenty about. And the back row is Hudson Young and Zach Hosking. The interchange for them is Patty, Sasangi, Smithies, and Atta Mariota going into the South Sydney Rabbitohs now, who cannot be taken lightly, especially considering they got some massive names coming back into their squad this weekend. Mitchell, Johnston, and Tass are the back three. The centres is Whiten and Graham. Cody Walker and Jamie Humphries are the halves. Instantly, that is looking like a top 6 team again. That is just about their best, isn't it? That's their best backline available to them, honestly. And Jack Whiten returns to Canberra once more, so there's even a little bit more of a storyline there for you. The forward pack is Arrow, Havili, and Kolowa Matangi. Oh my God, dude. Moving into the middle has been wondrous for you, but holy crap, what are you having for brekkie every friggin' game day morning, mate? Absolutely insane. Keon is going. Aitken, Duncan, and Hubner. That is the back row. The interchange is Jaden Sullivan, Kepi, Liam LeBlanc, and Tavita Totola in jersey number 17. Jai Gray popped into the reserves, and Tyrone Munro as well is floating around there as well. So maybe you could say that, that might even bolster the Rabbitohs if he was included, but I don't think he will. Maybe Jai Gray. Maybe Jai Gray will be a late inclusion, but we'll see about that. I don't know why. I got this feeling that this is the last game before the Raiders have their first bye of the season. And I know it's a real double-edged sword. It's a hot potato to talk about draws for certain clubs. But man, how can you not look at the Canberra Raiders draw and just not be so sort of excited for them that they're actually going to have a friggin' bye next weekend? It's been huge. It's been an enormous effort campaign from the Canberra Raiders. We're halfway through the year, and sure, there are teams like the Brisbane Broncos, I'm pretty certain. No, I'm sure there's one or two other teams out there. I'm sure there's one more team other than the Raiders who have not had their bye yet. The Sharks only had their bye last week and they went to Vegas. The Raiders, Sharks and Raiders, man, they've gone all corners of the compass, man. But the Raiders in particular, in my opinion. And to see what they've done, where they've gone, how they've gone about things, man, it's just, man, you can tell they're my second favourite team, but I just got this feeling that maybe they'll have that one eye on the bye like the Cronulla Sharks did last weekend, or a couple of weeks ago, I should say. I also think back to Jared Croker's 300th game a couple of years ago, and then the Warriors came in and spoiled the party. So, this is, even though it is all looking like a Raiders win, you don't want to underestimate this South Sydney Rabbitohs outfit, 100%. They're looking as good on paper as they have looked this entire season. This could be an absolute cracker. I think this is the second best game of the round to look forward to. But I'm not going to doubt you again. I'm going to ride this train a little bit here. I'm going to go the Canberra Raiders to win this game 1-12 in Josh Papali's massive record-breaking game for the Canberra Raiders. And the second game on Sunday is from CommBank Stadium. The West Tigers host the Penrith Panthers. Wests, they are $3.41. The Penrith Panthers, they are $1.32. Oh my goodness. What a comeback from the West Tigers against the North Queensland Cowboys. 17 minutes to go, and the Tigers went, shit, we better go here, and go they went. My goodness, getting from 6 points to 28 points. In the space of 17 minutes. Wild stuff, man. Almost a comeback for the ages. So we'll go into the team list news now. Buller, Taruva, Skelton is back for the Tigers this weekend. That's a big one. We've got Duahi and Toa in the centres. Heath Mason at 5'8", who I thought was pretty strong last weekend, and Jerome Luai. And that's one of the biggest, if not the biggest storyline coming into season 2025, is that this is the first time Luai will have just about ever played against the Penrith Panthers this Sunday at CommBank Stadium. Hopefully they can get a crowd that is 3/4 full, if not a complete sellout. Hopefully. For the forward pack, May, Coruscant and Fainu, that is Sione Fainu, Samuel Fainu, Sukar and Seifath is the back row. The interchange is Latu Fainu in jersey 14 and Jack Bird, Kit Lalali'i and Charlie Murray makes his first grade debut in jersey number 17. The likes of Staines, Brent Naden, Talon De Silva, they have been kept off. I didn't think Charlie Staines did a whole lot wrong, but then again, it is Jarrell Skelton that's coming back into the fray, and Brent Naden as well dropped as well. So there you go. The Penrith Panthers, they look like 1-7. They are unchanged. The forward pack has, by and large, remained unchanged all friggin' season, and the interchange for them reads Somerton, Eisenhuth, Patea, and Dane Laurie in jersey number 17. Well, he might want to throw a few barbs back at his old club, the West Tigers, this weekend. But Isaiah Papali'i, Luke Garner, and Paul Alamotti have been named on the reserves list, so maybe there might be some swapping and changing there for the Penrith Panthers. And it was a very good quality game of footy. They won a very good quality game of footy against Parramatta, did the Penrith Panthers, but we've seen them put in a fantastic effort this year, and they have not really been able to back it up so far in 2025. So that is why I'm a little bit, I'm just a little bit weary. Having Jarrell Skelton back again, I'll say it again, is a massive inclusion for the West Tigers. There is a little bit of value there. There is value there for the Tigers. They are capable of making this 1-12, but I'm still going to stick with the Penrith Panthers. But I'll be honest, I would not be surprised if the Tigers snare and upset this Sunday, but I am going to go the Penrith Panthers 1-12. And this Monday is the King's birthday clash between the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs and the Parramatta Eels. The Bulldogs, they are $1.42. The Parramatta Eels, they are $2.89. Let me hit you with something like this. This is how I see the story for the Bulldogs at the moment, right? They had their bye last weekend, and they've been sitting on that bye after suffering a 40-point loss to the Dolphins, who they lost to for the first time in their history. They played that game without the likes of a Stephen Crichton or a Max King Jacob Carraz as well, for example. So this Bulldog side haven't played together for about 3 weeks or so, I would tend to suggest. And looking at just their draw a week or so prior to that game against the Dolphins, they played in a really tough and torrid affair against the Sydney Roosters. So it's almost coming up to a month, or it might be a month, since the last time the Bulldogs have played together as full strength as they possibly can play. And they haven't played like that in front of their home fans for a month. This fan base is even more ravenous now with the news that Lachlan Galvin has been named on the reserves list for this Monday's matchup. You can't escape his name, and you won't escape his name for the rest of 2025. And I won't talk about it. I won't talk about him too much more than what I already have or have not. But it's hard to deny that the Bulldogs, they are salivating for 2 competition points here this Monday. They are coming in super hot on a King's Birthday Monday game against the arch enemy, who are playing very good footy. But let's have a look at the team list news now. So let's concrete this in and look at that straight away. To me, Jacob Carraz, he returns. That's even more that's even more of a lift for the Bulldogs this Monday. Tracy is at fullback and the other winger is Montoya. Bronson Sherry and Stephen Crichton, the captain, returns for the first time since that game against the Sydney Roosters. The halves pairing is Matt Burton and Toby Sexton. I don't want to be grateful, but I'm so happy that Toby Sexton is still there this Monday. The forward pack, Max King, Reid Marnie, Saluka Fafita is, I'm pretty sure, a bloke that returns after he got knocked out by the Roosters in that game, so he returns. The back row is Kikau, Josh Curran returns, Kurt Mann is at lock, Bailey Hayward, Harry Hayes, Lepoi Hapoi, and Curtis Morin. Sam Hughes and Lachlan Galvin have been named on the reserves for the Bulldogs. Out of respect, let's go into the Parramatta Eels lineup now. And Will Penasini returns from a concussion. Sean Russell is the other centre. That pushes Jordan Samrani to jersey number 17. The forward pack here is Tilangi, Kautoga, and Hopgood. The interchange is Walker, Moretti, Mattison, and Jordan Samrani. The Parramatta Eels, their improvement for the better, well, since Mitch Moses returned, the improvement in that team has been pretty bloody good. They really took it to Penrith, and I think they can take it to the Dogs again. This is a rivalry game. They met earlier this season, and the Parramatta Eels really made the Bulldogs sweat for a long period of time in that game. So with Mitch Moses this time, I wouldn't be surprised if they do it even further. The Bulldogs, however, they are getting closer and closer to getting full strength. I'd say you'd probably pop them at about 75% full strength coming into this Monday game, but it's all leading to a Bulldogs win, in my opinion. And if the Parramatta Eels defeat the Dogs, I'm not going to say alarm bells for the Dogs, not in any way, shape or form, because there might be some players that might be rusty coming off of that bye, a very long bye. They last played against the Dolphins on a Friday night over 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago by the time kickoff comes. But a win here for Parramatta, I would really start to consider them, or the Roosters, but I would really start to consider the Parramatta Eels as that team that catches second half fever, where they just go whooshka. We've seen it a lot of times over the years where a team will start to fight from the halfway point and improve and go on a 6-game winning streak, and either fall short or just scrape into the 8. And this Parramatta Eels side are playing really good footy at the moment, really strong footy. But I've got to go the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs here to get their first win in pretty much a month. And they're playing in front of their home fans at as full strength as they possibly can be in a month. I've got to go the Bulldogs here to win 1-12. Howdy, guys. Thank you very much for the continued support. I hope you enjoyed that video. Heads up that I'm going to be joined by Terry, by the Rugby League Outlaws, this Sunday to call the West Tigers versus the Penrith Panthers matchup. And we're 1 month away from NRLW starting. And yes, there is content coming. I'm planning it. Hopefully I can kickstart that this weekend with some previews. But yeah, keep an eye out on the NRLW previews. And the Mackay Cutters BMD season is also coming about. But I also want to talk about the men that have been playing in the Host Plus Cup for the Cutters and for the Northern Pride as well. So there's going to be a truckload on my plate alongside all of the work that is going on in my life at the moment. I'm trying to make it all fit in, but I really hope that you're enjoying the content so far. And I hope you're all doing well. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you. Take care. Adios.